Overnight, global conflict remained the main driver of risk sentiment. In Ukraine, officials say a major Russian attack killed 7 people, with Dnipro the hardest hit and reports of a strike on a residential building. In West Africa, Mali saw coordinated attacks by armed groups across the center and north, described by local reporting as the largest jihadist assault in years, underscoring the widening security challenge in the Sahel. In the Middle East, diplomacy around Iran took another turn. U.S. President Donald Trump canceled a planned trip by U.S. negotiators for talks, after Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi traveled to Pakistan and met Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. Trump later suggested any next talks could be by phone. The Financial Times also notes the U.S.'s positioning for energy supremacy as the Iran war crisis reshapes oil and gas flows, with Europe and Asia wary of over-reliance on American supply. That matters for the global economy, because energy prices and shipping risk feed directly into inflation expectations and central bank settings. On governance and rights, Venezuela's prisoner release scheme is reportedly nearing its end, with rights groups saying hundreds of political prisoners may still be detained. In the Americas, Mexico says 2 U.S. agents killed in a crash were not permitted to operate in the country, raising fresh questions about cross-border security activity. On artificial intelligence and the technological revolution, the Financial Times is pushing back on AI job apocalypse claims, arguing that task automation alone doesn't determine labor market outcomes. Adoption costs, regulation, workplace redesign, and bargaining power also shape what happens next. The practical takeaway for markets and governments is that productivity gains may arrive unevenly, while workforce disruption will be sector-specific rather than universal. Turning to Australia, Anzac Day commemorations were marked by controversy, with ABC reporting sustained booing during a welcome to country and speeches by Indigenous leaders at services in Sydney, with similar scenes in Melbourne and Perth. The reporting frames it as a reminder of unresolved tensions over racism and national identity, and it is likely to keep pressure on political leaders to respond carefully in the days ahead. On national security and transnational crime, ABC reports a narco-sub washed up near a Pacific village, adding to at least 7 such discoveries in Pacific waters in recent years. The pattern points to evolving trafficking routes and capabilities in Australia's broader region, with implications for border enforcement cooperation. On Australian government policy and the public service, SBS reports Australian women and children have left a Syrian detention camp in a renewed attempt to return home. A repatriation effort typically involves complex coordination across agencies, security assessments, and consular and welfare arrangements, and it will be closely watched domestically. In markets, there are no specific new leads in today's material on the Australian share market or major domestic economic indicators. The bigger macro watch remains how global energy and conflict risks feed into inflation, consumer confidence, and funding costs. Locally, the main developments are community-facing, Anzac Day events and their aftermath, and ongoing public discussion about veterans' experiences, including SBS reporting that some are reassessing the Anzac legend amid war crimes investigations.